The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 29th day of October, 2024. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamel Hartman. She is Mia Jambray, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Mia.
Hi.
What's up?
Good morning. Sorry I missed you last week, everyone.
No.
People comment to me, say, where were you last week? I was like, oh, my mom's been traveling, so I've had to shop solo. So,
You know what? You got to make them miss you sometimes. You know, you got to make them miss you.
True.
Like that. But I got to ask you because only Daily Hour YouTube members would have seen. But I saw some pretty cool pictures of yourself and the Gunner Man, and you look like you had a great weekend.
Yeah, we did have a great weekend. I try to. So because I work for myself, sometimes quality time with your family is not always in abundance, but I do really try to make it like a priority. So on Saturday morning, Gunnar and I were up early, and we let James have a sleep in, and then we both went down to Warwick Long Bay and watched the sunrise and met a farmer that was collecting sunrise seaweed. So we assisted him in that and did some treasure hunting with all the shells. And I used to do that with my grandmother when I was little. So it's just something that's important to me to do with Gunner. We found a lot of cool stuff. Yeah.
But if you're a YouTube member, you would have seen it. You would have seen. It was beautiful. Nice pictures and nice setting. And Maya got the TDH team working when they you see that. Right? But no, that was cool. That was cool. David Michael Wilson says, good morning. It's the last Tuesday of October. TDH family and crew, make it terrific. Yes, you too, David. Suzanne Ingham says, awesome Tuesday, Jamal and Mia. I missed you, Mia. Welcome back.
Well, good morning, David Michael. Good morning, Suzanne. Thanks. It's great to be back. I missed it too, to be honest. So yeah.
There you go. Well, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Debbie Narraway on from the Bermuda Cancer and Health Center. We're going to be talking about breast cancer and some things that they're doing as far as preventative measures to ensure that women in Bermuda have some of the best care as it relates to breast cancer. The daily players will remember when, so a bit of history, see if Mia's got some history knowledge. All right, we'll do that. Folks, if you haven't already, the survey has been out for about a week now. Please just take 10 minutes of your time and fill out our annual survey. Your feedback is crucial to the development of the show. Even if you're happy with how things are and you don't want anything to change, just fill it out. It's good to know that stuff as well. Don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Real quickly, before we jump into today's conversation, I voted for the first time yesterday in a U.S. presidential election. I don't know if people know about Georgia, but Georgia was that state last time where, is it right to say that Donald Trump tried to overturn it? Is that the correct language? I don't know, because I don't need him and his people chasing me. I'm just saying, I try to stay out the line. But I think that's what happened. I'm trying to be politically correct or diplomatic on this show. But I think, so on election day last time, there were long lines in Georgia and whatnot. And so I knew that I had to get out early. So I had an appointment for another thing at the courts yesterday. So I was like, oh, I could vote here. So I went to vote. And it was really easy. It was seamless. I felt dude was kind of looking over my shoulder to see who I was voting for, right? I felt was trying to see, right? And I must say, I learned this when I was in Florida and I voted. Something that's very different from Bermuda that I'd like to see, but it requires everyone to do their due diligence, is we get so distracted by the big money-funded people before us, like the presidential election or the governor elections. But you vote for laws here. You vote for who's going to be in charge of your court or the water person, the roads or the sheriff. And so it's so much to it. And I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't know. The only name that stood out to me was Fannie Willis. And that's because she's, I guess, the one prosecuting Trump or leading the charges against Donald Trump. But it was an interesting thing. It's not as easy as just going and ticking one thing in a Bermuda election, but fascinating to say the least. Georgia, I think, has almost double the amount of votes already submitted compared to the last time around. I think I saw last night.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of early voting. But that's my voting experience. And Charles is trying to get me kicked out. He says no, he tried to steal it. Yeah, he tried. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that alone. All right, folks, let's jump into today's conversation. Maya reported on something yesterday. Mia, tell them what we're going to be discussing this morning.
Well, we're going to be discussing the recent Salvation Army plea. So in the news yesterday and this morning, actually, Jamal, when I was listening to the radio this morning, so yesterday they discussed that it's been unprecedented, that there's been outreach for the Salvation Army's charity arm, so everything that they do to support the community. And they have come to the bottom of the barrel. They're scraping the barrel. They try to be creative with their funds and also with their donations. However, they just aren't making their ends meet, which is very similar to what you were saying yesterday, Jamal, that lots of people in the community are really struggling, not able to volunteer their time, not being able to give like they used to, and are really struggling to make ends meet. And that is what's happening with the Salvation Army. After the call out yesterday, the public did rush to their aid, and they have had their stocks replenished, but they're still looking for more. So that's the update as of the 7 o'clock news this morning. However, the question of the morning is, Jamal, you want to take it away?
Audience, just tell us what concerns you most about charities being impacted by less donations. I mean, as Maya shared yesterday, when I looked at the picture, and I mean, it was like a couple things on the shelves. It's a different time. What concerns you most about charities being impacted by less donations? But also, do you think there are too many charities in Bermuda? No. I'm going to go through something. I want to share it. I haven't done this in a while. So you all, I'm leaving this to the audience to do the math, right? I'm going to leave this to the audience to do the math. So are there too many charities in Bermuda? So what I did as your good friend this morning, I said, well, let me go on to see the number of charities. Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to give you a number. I'm just going to say it's 15 pages now. You can see what some of them are. Is that helpful? You know what? Let me make it bigger.
Yeah, that's enough.
So there's quite a lot of charities, right? Pages 2 through 14, there are 15. I'm saying 2 through 14, there are 22 per page, right? And I mean, it's quite a few. And I say that there's quite a few, and you see like some organizations have a charity arm, right? Now, I don't know if this is as of March 2024, but some, may just have a charity arm of certain organizations, but it's a lot. I'll just scrape through. It's a lot. Now, some people have said that some charities have duplicate responsibilities, meaning they do something that's already done in the community, right? I remember when the Mirrors program started. One of the complaints is, well, we already have mentor programs. I don't even think YouthNet exists anymore. We already have YouthNet or Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Bermuda. okay, I'm going to stop going because it's making me dizzy now. All right. You get my point. There's a lot of charities in Bermuda, right?
Yes.
And some people think some charities cancel one the other out. But audience, based on what you just saw or what you know, do you think that there are too many charities in Bermuda? And also, what concerns you most about charities being impacted by less donations? I'll go first. I'll go first in saying this. Mia just stated what I said yesterday. I think that from a personal perspective, people probably just don't have the resources to give like they used to. And I don't just mean in terms of money. I mean in terms of time as well, right? We're in a different time. I think that has impacted charities. I truly do believe that's impacted charities. But what do you think? What concerns you most about charities being impacted by less donations?
Well, it concerns me that there's more people looking for donations. That's a huge concern. They're seeing unprecedented people reaching out to get donations. And when you look around in Bermuda, I always say this to my mom. Was I just a kid and I didn't notice, and now I'm an adult and I notice? My mom said, no, it's not a thing of time. I was like, was it just that there were people around that needed lots and lots of assistance? There were all these people living in Victoria Park, for example. There was, tons of people on Front Street, and I just didn't notice because I was a kid. But there seems to be an uptick in unhoused and people who really do need support from, Salvation Army, for example. That seems to be, in my opinion, when I look around on the island, there seems to be a lot of people struggling. So that, yeah.
I think that what you said just now is probably of greater concern. Why are there so many people in need of charity? And I think what you just said is there's a root cause that we don't seem to be acknowledging or addressing, right? Audience, let's hear from you. What concerns you most? Like, we're living in a Bermuda today where more people. Now, let's be clear. All charities don't represent the same interest or have the same goals. Like, for instance, today we have Bermuda Cancer and Health on. That's very different from a Salvation Army. A Salvation Army is very different from maybe a scholarship charity where they're helping to empower people through formal education. There's so many different aspects of charity, but the one thing that seems consistent is so many. Now, one of the comments I saw on the RG under this story, it says from The Truth, quote, if you were more welcoming to Alt Bermuda and their community, you might get more donations from them. But as you chose to shun them, you reap what you sow, end quote. Now, I don't know if that's true, but someone responded, so you're saying that the gay community is so petty and vindictive that they would welcome seeing actual recipients of this charity suffer while way to reinforce a stereotype. Very interesting to me that. But I in this show, as it relates to the Olympians, that there are certain charities that are thriving.
That's true.
There are certain charities in Bermuda that are thriving.
That's true.
And we must ask ourselves, why are certain charities thriving and others aren't? Are some charities more, I'm going to use the term, sexy to support? Is it more seen as more better for business to support certain charities? Is it seen as better for optics and reputation to support certain charities? What concerns me most about charities being impacted by less donations is not all charities are impacted by it.
That's true.
Not all charities are being impacted. Some charities are thriving to the point that they can have full-time directors or part-time directors. What are those charities who are not generating the funds to deliver on what their purpose is? What are they doing wrong that others maybe not? Also, is it an opportunity for charities to merge in some respect and work together? I did see someone saying Salvation Army should work with Home, or Home, I saw someone reach out saying, oh, well, Home is taking over what Salvation Army used to do. I don't know. This is just what I've seen, but is there an opportunity for charities to work together in that respect?
Well, that's true. And also, I think sometimes we have these charities that have been around for so long, like the Salvation Army, that you just kind of take it for granted. Like the Salvation Army, the Red Cross, they'll always be there. They're stalwarts in our community. However, as times change, maybe they're not at the forefront of everybody's mind.
Indeed. Let's go to the audience. Again, audience, let us know what concerns you most about charities being impacted by less donations. What concerns you most about charities being impacted by less donations? Charles H. Jeffers II, he says, it's concerning that despite the feeling that there are fewer people here, the needs for basic things such as food and shelter have increased.
Yeah.
Dang, that's some good math, Charles. I didn't even think of that. He says, until we get that fixed, we won't be ready for more people. Well, Charles, I think I was trying not to bring government or politics up, but the government's bragging about hopefully having a surplus, right? You can't really claim that as victory if people can't eat and shelter themselves, right? So I see your point. I get your point. Politics makes that all look gravy, right? Lydia Simmons says, reported on another news stream, Teen Haven facing closure, another charity that supports a certain group of people. Well, yeah, we actually spoke with them this weekend, and Maya actually is in talks with them. But what we do on this medium is we ensure that before we report on things or discuss things, we have more information on both sides of the story. So yes, we have been following that and in contact with them. But again, that's another charity that's in some bad shape. Manuela Jones says some of the charities are for people who are in real need of food and clothing. That seems to be the purpose years ago. It seemed as if those charities have made an effort to work together. Okay. Yeah, I think collaboration, we speak about collaboration a lot, Mia. I think collaboration is going to be needed with some charity groups, right?
I agree. And personally, for my own business, we actually collaborate. The foundation of our business is to actually we do part of proceeds for the year go to the Living Reef Foundation. So that was our mandate right from the beginning, even before we even had any money to donate. We were like, hey, this is going to be part of our business model. But perhaps not only collaboration amongst the charities, but collaborations, they need to collaborate with local businesses. So, hey, for example, we're looking for you to be, a partner with us, and we would like to, maybe if you have clothes at the end of the season, you could give them to us, or, food at the end of the night, we can come and collect it. There's just kind of things that there needs to be a bit more collaboration amongst businesses and charities, I think, as well. Not just charities interconnected, but amongst community in general.
Indeed. Let's go to some comments on Instagram. On Instagram, KPA Cannoneer says, what concerns them most is it emphasizes the fact there's a huge gap between the have and have-nots. And says, I met a woman who didn't even have bus fare to go to her cancer treatment. A lot of people are struggling. Man,
that makes me cry.
Yeah, that's very concerning. Charles H. Jeffers II, he says, I wish collaboration was more a part of our culture. No one organization or group of people has all the good ideas. I agree, Charles.
I agree.
I think a collaborative effort could go a long way. But the thing is, Charles, I think we're raised to, and I don't want to say compete, because nothing wrong with competing. I think we're raised to actually look at others as the enemy, if that makes sense. So it's not even like we're competing, but I can't work with them. I need to beat them. But in actuality, you'd probably do well working with them rather than trying to beat them, right?
Yeah.
Some things just make sense. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, I believe that great financial crash of 2008 has had a direct effect on charitable donation. Many IB companies left the island and have not returned. Well, there's still a lot of IB companies and cash flowing in Bermuda. Again, Mark, I don't think this is a problem of the money not being there. It's just a matter of where the money goes, right? If we're honest, it's about where the money goes. We need to be honest about that. We're not honest about that. And when we are honest about it, people's feelings get hurt. Charles H. Jeffers II says maybe we could find a way to celebrate those organizations who do collaborate. Indeed. Suzanne Ingham said, oh, that's a long one. I'll read from the side. She says, I just want to know if all are really needed. There are a lot of them. Yes, Mia, there are tons of people in need struggling. Why? Is it due to less jobs? AI takes jobs from people. We don't need AI. The banks have left. Ghost staff over the years, right? I keep hearing young people can't find jobs. Where are these jobs disappearing to? We have a ton of foreigners doing jobs locals can do. Manuela John says there are some charities that the hungry would not appreciate. There may also be people who don't understand that struggle. I just want to ask a question: yes or no? And audience, yes or no? Do you believe Bermuda needs a lot of charities to be able to help people? Yes or no? Do you believe Bermuda needs a lot? And a lot can be subjective, but do you think Bermuda needs a lot of charities to be able to deliver for Bermudians, Mia?
I just don't think I don't think there needs to be 22 pages on a 15 per charity for a 15-page document. No, I think you say it a lot, and I think we all say it a lot, and both the audience and ourselves. That Bermuda is so small. We don't need like this abundance. I mean, we need an abundance of people pouring out to help, but we don't need this abundance of, all these tiny charities all doing basically the same thing where they could all collectively work together and use all the resources together. I think that would be way more beneficial. But I do know, Jamal, I actually have a very close friend who's just recently had their charity registered, that it's not an easy task to get your charity registered as well. And then also just to talk on Suzanne Ingham's comment, where are all the jobs going? Well, interestingly enough, where are all the shops? Where are all the small businesses? Where are all the people shopping in the shops? We had places like Smith's and Trimmingham's and, all of these abundance of retail, for example. That's this, after international business, retail is the second biggest employee of Bermudians, and that's where a lot of us get our chops. I worked at Calypso when I was a kid. Yeah. So, we have to start reinvesting in our local economy. It's so nuanced, of course, but we have all Bermudian staff. And my business is tiny, but we have all Bermudian staff. So that's a point for us. That's, is that a point for other businesses? I think that's a really good point. Is that a mandate should that be a mandate for local businesses? It's just, I'm at a loss for words.
I think Craig Kenner said it in the lead up to the 2020 election, and we'll bring Maya in now as we're hitting time, but he said it, the best, I always quote him wrong, but the best charity is jobs, right?
I agree.
Yeah. So if people have opportunities, there's less of a need for any kind of assistance. All right, let's bring Maya Palazzi in for Daily Hour News Break. After that, we've got Debbie Titten Narraway. We're going to be talking about what they're doing to ensure that people have, I said women earlier, but it's people have best access to breast cancer prevention measures. All right.
Good morning. Good morning.
Greetings, MP. How are you today?
Just thinking about this conversation, knowing that we have money that comes into this island, it's just what people choose to actually place that money into. Teo came on here and he did that story about, I want to call it the golden ticket, right? And there was some requirements that people had to make when they entered the island, whether to give toward, I have to go watch it again, but it was like to invest in property, invest in access, different things. And he mentioned how, I think it was the charity one or foundations that were the least amount that money was actually being given to. Again, each person that came in, they had their options of what they wanted to put their money into. It's a very large chunk that they had to contribute to the island in order to get these golden tickets to stay. And so that was also something that, Teo didn't mention about I would have loved to see more go toward that, but it didn't. It's just more of that nature. And just remember even years ago, and I was trying to pull up the story, but I think it was Red Cross and how much money they were able to raise for Ukraine. And I think we talked about it here, just wow, it's amazing that they're able to get that much, but it all came from this island and it's gone now to somewhere else. when there's still people in need here.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that was a big conversation online as well.
Yeah. Then there was lots of sorry.
Yeah.
There was just lots of charities that there were lots of businesses that were able to rally for the Ukraine and do all of these things, and yet that what they could do the same thing for Bermudian charities, and yet that hasn't materialized.
Yeah, I think the idea is to keep the money flowing in the economy. One of the things, just you guys bringing that up, is I saw a video, I think on Instagram some years ago, about when you go, I don't know if they do it in Canada or if they've done in the UK. In the US, you'll go to like a grocery store and they will ask you if you want to give $1 to a charity. I no longer do that. I was literally a person who did that all the time. And what you learn through that is these corporations have already given their charitable funds to that organization. What they're doing is getting you now to fund that for them by donating to them. So I actually stopped doing it. What I would rather give my money directly to the organization, if that's the case, rather than giving it to this corporation who's helping me with that. So I become more wary. And I don't know if that's a thing in Bermuda, because I grew up doing tag days. I don't know if people, we discussed the Olympians were doing that, I think, Maya.
Yeah.
Right. Tag days were big for me. Like when I was working at Hot 107.5, people would come into my office at the time and they saw I just had so many stickers on my window. And I would do it to encourage anyone who came through to, okay, go ahead, over People's Pharmacy next door. I'm sure someone's on the door, because that was the norm. I would go over there for my morning snack and I would always, put $1 in. But I don't know if that's the norm. Is that considered so small that it doesn't help the funds anymore because the average person is struggling? But I would rather give directly to the charity from a personal perspective. But as far as a corporate and business, Maya and Teo have shown it. Like there's a lot of funds coming through Bermuda. It's really about who they choose to give the money to.
And also, like, let's be real, not a lot of people even have cash on us anymore. So tag days sometimes probably isn't generating as much cash as it used to, because most people just go leave the house with cards, taking money out and things like that. It's not what people do anymore.
Yeah. Like, for instance, Salvation Army is always outside during the holidays throughout the U.S. I can't tell you the last time I've had cash or anything on me. Like, I don't walk across just to be mean, but that's a valid point, Maya. Like, I don't ever have cash, which is a very bad trait of mine, but yeah.
These charities need to get Venmo.
Yeah, there you go. I use what's the thing called? Zelle. I use Zelle.
Zelle, yeah, they need to just get Zelle, like all the kids that sell candy in Vegas.
Yeah, there you go. You know me. All right, what you got for us today, Maya?
Well, good morning, everyone. This is your daily Owl Newsbreak, brought to you by the great people at People's Pharmacy. So yeah, starting on our news this morning, we touched on it a little bit, but here's some little bit more insight in it. This is a quote coming. Quote, "The decision to go public was not taken lightly," end quote. Now, this statement is coming from the chairman of Teen Haven, Roxanne Christopher, who yesterday announced that the trustees of Teen Haven have given them an eviction order to vacate the premises by the end of the month. Now, Teen Haven is the residential services that houses and assists and cares for normally, well, in the beginning it was like teen moms, but ended up just being anyone who truly needed the assistance, especially women with children and things of that nature. Now, they've been around for about 50 years. And after the passing of Olga Scott and one of the other key founders of Teen Haven alongside Ms. Neversant, 3 men have taken over as the trustees. Now, they are Dennis Burgess, Milton Scott, who was actually a former Minister of Education, and Keith Smith. Now, here's an audio clip from TNN of Ms. Christopher just further explaining the situation and how they are in this position.
Bermuda, we need you. We need you. We need you to speak to your MPs. We need you to speak to your church members, speak to your family members. If there are individuals that you've known that have come through the doors of Teen Haven, we need you to reach out and work with us. Work with us. It's a very difficult situation. And I think a lot of people are aghast that this organization that has serviced this country for so long now is in the hands of trustees who are legally right. So legally, they have the right to evict us because the Haven Trust document was so broad. It only said that they have to support women and children. It did not say Teen Haven or Teen Services. That's where the loophole comes in. Because we were not named in the trustee document, we are not deemed as beneficiaries of the trust.
Who are the three men?
The three men, so let me go back to Dennis Burgess, Milton Scott, and Keith Smith.
I think that the saddest thing about that is this is an organization that has greatly supported young women, and it's three men who are kind of pushing them out. I hope that didn't go over anyone's head.
That was very much so a comment that stayed with Miss Christopher Dawn the entire thing. So tomorrow, Miss Christopher will actually, and other administrators will be in family court asking for an extension on the eviction. However, Miss Christopher said that the trustees seem unwilling to come to a negotiation. Teen Haven has already had to turn down many people across the island who always typically come in to ask for help, or even newcomers trying to ask for help because of their uncertainty of their unforeseeable future right now. In terms of ministerial help, Ms. Christopher did say that the Honorable Tanae Furbert has been speaking with the trustees trying to negotiate, but according to her, the trustees turned down the request for a second meeting. Now, I will be speaking to Ms. Christopher on Wednesday after the court hearing and have begun efforts to actually try to reach out to these trustees to provide a statement as well to bring back to you guys on Thursday during the program.
Interesting.
Maya, did they say why they were wanting to evict them?
Well, they mentioned that it was for private, like residency, or just using the buildings privately, or doing something else with the buildings. Like there was no, like I can't say because this just came from Ms. Christopher as to why they are evicting, but we haven't heard from them directly. But apparently, according to Ms. Christopher, it is for like private residencies, or trying to do something private with the buildings.
Sounds like they want to make money. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, in other news, and this is some sad news coming in, but we heard this morning that a dedicated public servant and advocate, Senator Leslie Robinson, has passed away at the age of 57. Now, this news has arrived this morning with posts mourning her loss. Senator Robinson was known for her commitment to empowering Bermudians, especially in the areas of social equity and economic reform. And we share our sincerest condolences to friends and family.
Absolutely. Very sad news. Definitely sending love to her family, friends, colleagues in the party. So young.
Indeed. And continuing on, unfortunately, with like sad sorrows, where MSA recently paid tribute to Ethan Arruda. We mentioned him yesterday on the show as well, 17 years old, who was stabbed to death over the weekend at a house party. Now, a post on the school's social media account said, quote, "Our MSA family is devastated at the loss of our beloved student Ethan Arruda, class of 2025. Our counselors have been joined at MSA by counselors from other schools to support students and staff who are completely shaken by the Census Act. The counselors will be outside the MSA for the rest of the week to help students process this horrific tragedy." Tributes poured in from the student body. From just a few of the many tributes, you can see what a special young man Ethan was and how much he was loved. Some of the posts said, quote, "Ethan, you were the kindest and sweetest person. Every time we talked, you would make me laugh. Sleep in peace." Another said, "Rest easy, forever loved." And finally, "You were the most joyful and kindest soul there."
Senseless is, I mean, I just don't get it. I think, I say it often, there's no coming back from death. You can't apologize to somebody, they're no longer here. You can apologize to the people they left behind, but that does not change the situation. Obviously, I don't have the details of this incident, but I don't think I quite need them to know that this was a senseless act. And just sending love to everyone impacted by it. It's ridiculous. It's past ridiculous. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Well, in other news, and yesterday you'll remember that I came on and reported how Premier Brantley from St. Kitts and Nevis was on the island. Well, he also held a town meeting, and he announced in the town meeting, a previous quote that said that our diaspora is uniquely positioned to help our country grow. With the right policies, we can encourage those connected to us to return, invest, and help us realize our shared potential. So the Premier invited all interested Bermudians actually to attend the town hall meeting to learn more about St. Kitts and Nevis, its future, and the opportunities for Bermudians to reconnect with their heritage. Now, the meeting was held at the Christ Anglican Church Hall in Devonshire, where he outlined the benefits and opportunities for Nevis that Nevis offers for Bermudians, including investments, prospects, and easy resident options as well, so they can deepen their ties with the Caribbean.
Okay. Deepen their ties in the Caribbean. No comment, sorry.
No worries. And then in our sports-related news, and this one's coming from RG. Pretty cool news here. Teenager Sarai Fisher has won 5 medals at the USA Sport Karate Champions and Elite World Champions after qualifying at the North American Championships in Las Vegas in March. The 14-year-old was one of the youngest martial artists competing at Daytona Beach in the 14 to 17 age group, including against boys who just turned 18. On the first day of competition, the Elite World Championship, Fisher won silver in the traditional weapon competition, with gold taken by an 18-year-old young man in a tight verdict. The two clashed again in traditional forms, with Fisher shocking her older opponent, with 2 of the 3 judges awarding her the gold medal and entry into the prestigious Champion of Champions competition. Fisher also picked up silver in the creative weapon category, with an event not even practiced in Bermuda.
I feel like she just beat me up hearing all that.
Wow, I love her. She's an amazing singer-songwriter as well. I know her.
Oh my goodness.
I just see that on Facebook.
She's amazing. Yeah, she's some when we can't do things, she'll do it she's a great. I never know she could kick so much butt.
I mean, when her day is off from singing, she could,
Oh my gosh, that surprised me so much. They
That's
need
cool.
her. They need her at Teen Haven.
Don't Mia, not yell at her if she hits the wrong note, okay?
Oh, I definitely won't.
Definitely a lot of talent packed inside her, definitely.
Wow.
And it relates to our weather today. We got a mix of sun and some clouds with a little bit of bustly showers or 2 as well. So again, just be safe when you're on those roads. Be cautious. Make sure you're wearing a rain coat, please, if you're on that bike. And we got a high of 74.
Well, with the state of the roads, you don't need much rain or weather. I'm just being serious. I'm just saying it's kind of bad out there. All right, days of the year, Mia, what you got?
So today is National Internet Day. Woohoo! Where would we be without the internet? We wouldn't be having this awesome show. So everybody, my favorite website is a real guilty pleasure. So I don't know if I want to say it publicly, but what's everybody's favorite website that they like to visit? What's everyone's favorite website? Audience, let us know. What's your favorite website? Mine is, okay, go ahead. Jamel, Maya, what are your favorite
Yours now? So you got me thinking like guilty pleasure. What's your favorite website, Mia?
So it's a website that I've been following since I was a teenager.
Okay.
He's a celebrity. He's a very controversial character. His name is Perez Hilton. I don't know if you've heard of him. And PerezHilton.com. I love to go on his website and check it out.
A columnist or something? I've heard.
Yes, he's a celebrity journalist.
Okay.
But he gets in a lot of hot. Well, he used to. He's matured now. He's in his 40s. But he's matured a lot because he started it when he was in his teens/20s.
Okay.
So he's matured a lot since then. PerezHilton.com. That's my favorite.
All right. What's your favorite internet website, audience? Maya, go ahead. Come on, give it to us.
Oh, Mug, I don't think I really have a favorite here. I would just say my favorite. It's when I go on my computer. Immediately, I'm just tapping into all the socials to do work. Like that's literally it. So I guess I'll go for YouTube. Since I love to look up instructional videos and stuff like that. So I'll go for YouTube.
That's an interesting one because is a website same as an app? I would have said YouTube, but I think I'm gonna say this is a tough one. Charles says his favorite is Google.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna say it's hard because I used to go on certain websites, but now I just use social media to collaborate. I'm going to say LinkedIn. That's where I get to learn a lot of stuff. That's where I get to engage. But I think Rosalind says, does anyone go to websites and, well, you're kind of on a website right now watching the show.
Yeah.
Right. I think we redefined what websites are. We redefined them as apps and stuff,
Yeah.
But if you're on the internet doing something right now, technically you're on a website. But
so Maya, as long as you've been alive, there's
the use the most or enjoy the most. Well, your favorite. You can do both.
I was just asking, as long as Maya's been alive, there's been the internet, right, Maya?
Good question. I want to say, yeah. I remember my family actually had the first big, huge computer in our house. Hang on, let me ask Google.
My goodness.
Oh my gosh. I
Well,
remember when the internet came.
Guys, we've got to bring a guest on.
Oh no.
We'd love to continue this. But
Okay, yeah, it says that the internet's been around since 1983. It's considered the official birthday of the internet.
I don't know why Mia did that, because now you're aging us, right? You're aging us, Mia. Like, well, I was hoping Maya weren't going to even, Mia's older than the internet, folks.
I am. Facts. I'm proud.
Yeah, she's older than the internet.
I'm proud of that.
She's almost
Wait,
seriously-
I'm not.
whatever, Maya. Good young people. Go ahead, go stretch them. Don't pull a hamstring. Have a great day.
Bye, Maya.
All right, my Palacio, folks. The Daily Hour is your favorite website. We were waiting on that one. Thank you, Rosalind. We appreciate you. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back after this break. We've got Debbie. Thank you so much, Debbie, for your patience. We already got her up early, right? Now we've got to make sure that, she sticks around. We've got to take a commercial break. If I can find a commercial break, folks. Give me 2 seconds. Here we go. We'll be back in 2 minutes, 34 seconds. Stick with us.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's. I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Unlock your business potential with BDC's General Microloan, offering up to $30,000 for Bermudian small and medium businesses. Whether it's for inventory, working capital, or equipment, we provide 100% guarantee on approved loans. Simple application, low interest rates, and fast processing. Apply today and make your business dream come true.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Novazok Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Hey, Daily Hour community, it's that time of year again. The Daily Hour annual survey is live, and we want to hear from you. This is your chance to tell us what you love, what you'd like more of, and how we can make your viewing experience better. It only takes a few minutes, and your feedback helps to shape our show for the year ahead. So don't wait. Click the link, fill out the survey, and help us continue to improve our community one conversation at a time. All right, welcome back to the Big Show. Thanks again for tuning in so far. Make sure you give us a like, a love. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Our charities are so important to all that we do in our community. So welcome back to the Big Show. She is Mia Chambray. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. As you saw, go fill out the survey if you have not done already. And don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Without further ado, let's give a warm TDH welcome to our guest today. We're talking about, it's fitting. We don't plan our discussions this way, but we're talking about breast cancer awareness and some of the things that they need help with to ensure that people and persons who are in need have the opportunity to have the best quality as it relates to their health and breast cancer in particular. So give a warm TDH welcome to Debbie Titterton Narraway. Here we go. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Good morning, and good morning to the Daily Hour audience.
Thank you. Well, first off, Mia and Maya, they talk a lot. So that you should have heard them. I was just sitting there like, we got Debbie. You know how good. No, I like.
I'm not sure they were doing all the talking, but it was a good conversation.
No, absolutely, and thank you to Mia for coming up with such a topic. Because I mean, I don't know if you had anything to add to that before we jump into today's conversation, but did you have any? Because you work in this space. I'm speaking from what I see as a person who's donated to many charities. But did you want to add anything, like some based on your experience working within your organization?
I think Bermuda's come a long way in the last couple of years with charities. As Maya mentioned, or maybe it was Mia, that it's not an easy process to become a charity today. There's a registration process. You have to meet best business practice. You have to renew every year. So people who go into the charity world are not taking it lightly. Some people are in it because they found a gap or a need in the community. Others, it's a passion project. A lot of those pages that you were looking at were PTAs, sports groups. So they are fundraising for sort of a different need. But I think it is a sector, like any sector, that needs to be watched and supported.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you, Debbie. Well, let's jump into Bermuda Cancer and Health. Tell the audience, those who may not know, a bit about yourself and what it is you do with Bermuda Cancer and Health Center.
So, as Jamel said, my name is Deborah Narraway. I am the Chief Marketing and Fundraising Officer at Bermuda Cancer and Health Center. Those who know me know I've been here for quite a long time. I did a stint here and then left for 2 years and then came back. For me, it is a passion. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy the people in this realm. So it just keeps us ticking along.
Indeed.
It sounds amazing, Debbie, and thank you for being on the show today. I think not only, as Jamal said before, it's not just about women, it's also about men as well. And what are the main causes of breast cancer?
So most cancers, they are, a lot of people would think hereditary. We hear a lot of hereditary conversation in Bermuda. But I think that is amplified because we are such a small community. So we know a lot of people who may have been diagnosed with, or aunts who have, or family members or colleagues. Most of our cancer rates are on par with the rest of the world. Most cancers are through things that we can actually help to reduce our risk factors in. So it's leading a healthy lifestyle in terms of a healthy diet, not being obese. Obesity has a lot to do with breast cancer. Exercising regularly, and that does not mean, running 5 days a week or being in the gym 5 days a week. It's moderate exercise, walking, strength training. Quit smoking if you are still smoking. Smoking is the leading factor in many cancers, not just lung cancer. In Bermuda, we say reduce alcohol because we think we would lose all our support, but it should be no alcohol. Alcohol does cause cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Getting screened. So there are screening recommendations for a number of cancers, breast cancer being one of them. And the other one is going for your annual checkup. Talking to your doctor about your risk factors. If you're overweight, is that playing a part? If you have a family member who's had a cancer, talk about that. They look at the type of cancer, the relationship to you, and they determine when your screening should start.
That's really informative, Debbie. Thank you so much. I have cancer in my family, so I'm super hyper aware of it. So not breast, but cancer is still cancer at the end of the day. So I'm actually going to have to start to get colonoscopies much earlier than anticipated. But when I'm in the shower, like, cleaning and doing my thing, I'm kind of doing a self breast check, but kind of what's the best way to do that? I'm just kind of freestyling at this point. But, what should you be feeling for? And this is for, Jamal too. This is for men and women.
Absolutely.
But like at this point, I'm kind of like just freestyle. Like I said, I'm just doing my best and kind of, and I also heard that you should ask your partner to assist in helping for irregularities as well.
Oh, that makes it more fun.
If you have one, because they might detect something that you kind of don't really perceive.
So I think the key about breast cancer is most of us think a lump, but you are looking for much more than just a lump. So a self-breast exam every month is a good habit to get into. You are feeling for any change in your breast tissue. If you do feel a lump, our breasts are naturally lumpy. You'll feel things that are like soft and round like a pea. Those are your milk loaves. Hard seeds could be a cancerous lump. Soft beans like a kidney bean could be your lymph nodes. So just because you think you feel something doesn't automatically mean cancer. It's something you should watch and again talk to your doctor about. But there are 12 signs and symptoms of breast cancer. If you're looking for any change, thickening of tissue, growing veins, sunken nipples, and the center does provide a wonderful free educational program, Know Your Lemons, that will help men and women understand changes in their breasts, what that looks like, the best methods for doing self-breast exams. So it's a great presentation to book with your friends.
Oh, I love that idea. I do a lot of girls' nights, so we could say, hey guys, we're going to learn how to check our breasts.
Yeah, and we have a lemonista, Ajurie Williams, who will come out and she will walk you through what that looks like, how the amount of pressure you should be using. Again, the full 12 signs and symptoms of knowing, we call them your lemons. We actually partner with the Know Your Lemons Foundation from the US, and the reason we went that route is they have fabulous graphics that really just take the sexualization out of breasts using lemons and in simple, bright colored graphics show women what to look for.
That's amazing. Now, we're definitely signing up. I'm going to put it in my girls chat after this, but I want to become a lemonista for sure. But Debbie, I recently, as Jamel pointed out earlier, I'm older than the internet. So that's that being said, so for my 40th birthday, I treated myself to a mammogram, which was so much fun. But I know that you are trying to fundraise to bring in a new mammogram machine. Now, I have to be honest, my mammogram was not comfortable. Jamel, you've never had one, so they are not comfortable. They squish you and pinch you, and you got to stay in this position, and then they do the thing, and it's not great. But at the end of the day, of course, it's better than the alternative, which is cancer. But what about this new machine is going to be different than kind of the current process of how we get mammograms?
So we currently have 2 mammography machines. We actually installed one in the middle of COVID in 2020. That was a feed into itself. And the one we're looking to replace now, we installed in 2008. So like every piece of equipment, there is a lifespan for the equipment. We never want to get into the position where the equipment is not working optimally or it decides not to turn on one day.
Right.
We would never want to have to push out appointments for a year and make people, wait and worry. So the machine we put in 2020 was a bit of an upgrade in the fact that it was the first machine to be designed for women, still being designed by men, but it has softer edges instead of pointed corners that you're resting your tissue on. Actual handles, when the lady says, put your hand here, instead of just grasping the side of a machine, there are actually handles to hold on to. And with each new, every year that passes and improvements in technology, we're seeing less on the machine, but more about what the machine can do. So the one that we are looking to install, hopefully next year, will have a higher sensitivity, meaning more accurate diagnosis. It's quicker and more efficient. We should be able to cut 7 minutes off a mammogram appointment.
Wow.
And high specificity. which means lower false positives. So most of us dread having the mammogram and waiting and getting the call back to say you need more imaging. More imaging doesn't necessarily mean cancer. There could be a lot of reasons, but it's that waiting moment and having to come back. So the less false positives, the better.
Indeed.
Indeed, yeah. And I, just for the viewers at home, you have different densities of breast tissue, and I happen to have very dense breast tissue, which means that my lemons are still very young. So I'm very happy about that. Now, if a patient doesn't want to get a mammogram, what other forms of detection are available, Debbie? Tell us.
So mammogram is still the gold standard. It will detect the most cancers in their earliest stages. But we also use ultrasound, and the other one would be an MRI. The MRI isn't using radiation, but it does have a much higher level of false positive readings. I mean, it's not designed to be doing that specific service, but there are options out there. The biggest one is your self-breast exam. Obviously, if it's a lump, that is an easier sign and symptom to be brought in, because that could be ultrasound, that specific area. And then biopsies are actually the only way that you can tell someone they have breast cancer.
Okay.
Indeed. Audience, if you have any questions or comments for Debbie, please send them through. We've got Manuela John. She's asking, should persons who have already dealt with their breast cancer or any cancer still be on the lookout for signs of cancer?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, breast cancer does not discriminate. Doesn't matter the age, whether you've had it before, the color of the skin. I think the conversation is really between you and your physician, your medical team, on how often you should then be coming back in to be re-examined. It does become much more of a medical process at that point and how you think about it. But certainly you should never say, oh, I've had cancer, it won't be me again.
Indeed. Suzanne Ingham, she says she declined her mammogram this year. I just wasn't up to being squished this year. Sorry, TB and cancer. Speak to us, because I'm sure that's probably the norm. What would you say to people like that who just don't want to go through it?
Absolutely. So there are screening recommendations, and they are just that. They are recommendations. So current screening recommendations are women age 40 to 44 should start talking about and having mammograms. And again, it does depend on your risk factors and your family history. By 45, women should be having an annual mammogram. 55 and older could move to every 2 years, depending on your risk factors. And then screening should continue as long as you are in good health, and they say expected to live 10 more years. I don't think most of us can pinpoint that, but that's the recommendation. So there are a lot of variables in that, and it is between you and your doctor. Mammograms, they are not comfortable. They can definitely hurt. Everybody's sensitivity level is different. There is the thought that it costs a lot, and we can talk about that in a minute. I'm just not up to it. And again, if your risk factors are not saying you are sort of on that path to maybe being diagnosed one day, missing an appointment is not an issue. As long as you come back, I mean, what you're looking at is each mammogram is your baseline. When you have your next one, they look for any changes. The more often you have that, the earlier you're going to detect the cancer. Got you.
And I wanted to, one of the questions that comes up on this show pretty often is cost and insurance. There are some people, as Mia mentioned, it may be hereditary in their family. They may be more at high risk. Is it something that's out of pocket? Is this why organizations like yourself raise money to support those? I mean, we've got a population who can't feed themselves and house themselves right now, and they need this care. How does it work with Bermuda Cancer and Health Center?
So unfortunately, Bermuda also has an aging population, and as people age, health decline, and you're more likely to be diagnosed with something. And cancer is one of those. So they say 1 in 2 people will be diagnosed with a cancer. It's 1 in 8 for women and breast cancer. So in your lifetime, 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. If you look at your friends, family, colleagues, I'm sure there's 8 of you sitting around. At the moment, mammograms, screening mammograms are covered under the standard health benefit. So they are available to everybody. At Bermuda Cancer and Health Center, we do not charge a copay. We do not want the finance of any of our services to be the reason you don't walk in the door to have something done. As we talked about, there are other barriers, the comfort level, the fear. We don't want money to be that. And that goes for all of our services, even the ones that are not covered by standard health benefit. So if you have health insurance and it doesn't cover 100% of your mammogram or your biopsy or your radiation therapy costs, we have a fund, we call it the Equal Access Fund, that the community donates to and helps cover the balance of that. If somebody has no insurance, they are still not asked to pay anything, and we dip into that fund as well. Again, so we really don't want, can I afford it to be the reason you don't walk in the door to have an appointment.
And you literally just answered Charles' question about what about the uninsured at the end. But he said something. Charles H. Jeffs II says, not to scare anyone, but my mom skipped her mammogram in 2018, and in 2019 she discovered she had breast cancer. And thank you for sharing that, Charles. Not to scare anyone, but I definitely appreciate that. But we have a question from Manuela John. She said, I was advised years ago that a person should commence regular mammograms 10 years before the age of the youngest family member who had breast cancer. Is that still the advice?
So I am one of those. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer at 37. So at 27, I was recommended to start with annual mammograms. And I started at 29, and I've had an annual mammogram ever since then. So if there was a hereditary or young person type cancer, it could have been caught. Today's philosophy is a little different. They do look at the radiation impact on the body and the breast tissue. So they don't necessarily say it has to be every year. But again, it depends on your personal risk factors, the extent of your family history. Is it a genetic family history? And you should be talking to your doctor about what that looks like for you. So the guideline now is still to have your baseline test done 10 years prior. But then it could be whatever increments you and your doctor decide on based on your history.
All righty. Final question. I know we don't want to keep you all morning, but good conversations do that. But let's speak about the community's role. How can the community help Bermuda Cancer and Health Center in its efforts to ensure that you have the best equipment and the ability to continue to educate the population about not just breast cancer, but cancer in general?
That's a loaded question. We are so fortunate to have amazing community support through, we have the Breast Cancer Walk, we have a Man on the Run, we have Movember and Relay for Life as our big community fundraisers that are very heavily supported. Most of that fundraising generally goes towards our Equal Access Fund. It costs the center about $2.2 million a year to cover the cost of uninsured and underinsured patients. So where insurance doesn't cover the full cost of an appointment and those without health insurance, so that we don't have to ask them to pay when they come in, we have that fund. We are currently only raising about $1.6 million of that $2.2 million needed. And that is specific. So when somebody donates equal access, that's the only place that money is spent. So when it comes to replacing a piece of equipment, this is why we put out this Mobilize for Mammograms campaign. We even need to raise $400,000 to be able to replace this piece of equipment. We also have other needs. We have an education program that goes out, and all of our education programs are free. So a lot of people know us through our SunSmart program, where we are in all schools and have a summer camp accreditation program, teaching young people how to protect themselves from the sun so that when they are adults, they are not diagnosed with skin cancer, because unfortunately the damage is done while we're young. We have a men's health program. We have the Know Your Lemons, where, as I said, Ajurie, our Lemonista, comes out. She'll meet with groups of 10 more and talk about self-breast exams, understanding your risk factors, the pathway for breast health and breast cancer should you be diagnosed. So these are, timely, heavy people, resource heavy, and we need funding for those as well. So our education program is currently not funded. So we sort of limp along year to year trying to keep those pieces going. So there's a lot of need for funding and community support. But as I said, we are very grateful that most of our fundraising actually comes from the community. The other way community can help is by volunteering. So we need help at our events. We also have needs throughout the year in the center, and you can look on our website and register as a volunteer there as well.
All righty. Thank you so much. This conversation was helpful. As Charles H. II says here, I wasn't aware of that fund. That's awesome. I wish we only needed charities such as this, but until we need the other charities as well. So Susan Henningham says a very worthwhile charity. Debbie, thank you so much. Keep in touch. Let us know if there's anything we can continue to do throughout the year as you guys keep striving to make sure Bermudians have what the preventative measures needed to address cancer in our community. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. And you can go to www.chc.bm.
All right.
Thank you, Mia and Jamel.
Good day.
Bye, Debbie. Thank you. Nice to see you.
All right, Debbie, Tirton, and Narraway, folks, Bermuda Cancer and Health. If you appreciate that conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share that conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. We have a question coming up for the Daily Play. I think Debbie should know the answer to this. I'll just
gosh.
Here. Mia, email
yes?
the answer too. Don't panic. We'll be back in 57 seconds. Stick with us, audience.
Hey Daily Hour community, it's that time of year again. The Daily Hour's annual survey is live, and we want to hear from you. This is your chance to tell us what you love, what you'd like to see more of, and how we can make your viewing experience even better. It only takes a few minutes, and your feedback helps us shape our show for the year ahead. So don't wait, click the link, fill out the survey, and help us continue to improve our community one conversation at a time.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
All righty, welcome back to the Big Show. Thanks again to Debbie, Bermuda Cancer and Health Center, doing the work in the community. Real quickly, there's no show tomorrow because, Mia mentioned colonoscopy. I'm actually going to get a colonoscopy tomorrow, folks. So preventative measures. So I'm letting you all in my business. Look at me. But that's why we're here, because it's what we do, community, right? So there is no show tomorrow. Wish your boy luck. Going under for a bit. But hey, hopefully I can inspire someone else to go and do it as well. But thanks again to Debbie, again, for trusting our platform to have the conversation. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring we can do this for you. If you haven't already, make sure you give us a like, a love, a thumbs up. Follow us on all of our social media channels. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and X to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Mia, are you ready?
Yes.
It's a remember when.
Okay.
Right?
Oh gosh. Okay.
All right, here we go. Originally known for tuberculosis, Bermuda Cancer and Health was founded in what decade, Mia?
1950s, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, 1940s, 1930s.
Okay, we'll give it to her. She finally said 40s, folks. My goodness, she went everywhere. Everywhere. It was the 1940s. It was 1945, originally formed to assist patients with tuberculosis. Because that's why when Suzanne said it, I always remembered it as TB cancer growing up, right? Yeah, definitely an organization that has been around for a long time and doing the work in the community. So I'm glad I got through this show, because if anyone knows about colonoscopies, it's been a rough morning. I'm not trying to put up. See, Charles, I put my business out there. Jamal will not be leaving the house today.
Savage.
Yeah, but let's wrap it up. Final thoughts on the charities conversation this morning, Mia, and then obviously the conversation with Debbie.
So, final thoughts on the charities conversation. Well, as always, our conversations dovetailed today, which is amazing. But I do think what's the seed of it all was more about collaboration. So I really feel like, how can we and I think Charles H. Jeffers II did comment on it as well, how can we have more collaboration in the community with both businesses and charities? How can we align ourselves more together to be able to support our charities that are in such dire need? And furthermore, what is the systemic problem that's causing so many unhoused individuals that are in need of so much support, with the population dwindling, as discussed? It's a lot of question marks there, but I guess at the heart of it is that these charities, like the stalwarts of the Salvation Army, do need assistance. So how can we immediately solve the problem? And then, of course, it's a longevity factor. So what can we do to help the community in a greater sense?
Yeah. I've said it before. I've said it many times on social. In a fair and just world, there will be no need for charity, right? Unfortunately, we don't live in a fair and just world. And as long as we don't live in a fair and just world, we need, as a community and society, do what needs to be done, because, we don't have an equal playing field. There are people that are always going to be in need and not be able to, afford the necessities. And so I do see value in charity. And I hope that, as was mentioned, there could be some form of collaboration, but also, I understand from a personal perspective, it's getting tougher to even give time. But over time, I hope that we can all find a way to ensure that our community has the basic needs to be able to live a quality life. That said, I know we had some questions once Debbie went off. Please reach out to Bermuda Cancer and Health Center if you still have questions. I'm sure she'll be able to assist. Thanks again to Debbie. I think the conversation's helpful to get people to understand something, because I think she said something that stood out regarding the machines. Think of it like a computer, right? Computers become obsolete very fast. And I think that's the point she was making with the machines. It's like, the machine that we had 5 years ago probably isn't as up to date as it needs to be for the machine that we may need today. So I think that's extremely helpful. But you can send an email to info@chc.bm or visit the website chc.bm if you have any other. Debbie says colonoscopy is a great sleep. All right, Mia, you got some daily inspiration for us?
I do, actually. And as I look out my window, there's actually, well, I'll tell you afterwards, but this is by one of my favorite singer-songwriters, Miss Dolly Parton. She says, "The way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you got to put up with the rain."
Yeah.
There's a rainbow right outside, right over Dockyard right now, right over Bose Island, right as I look out my window. So,
look at that.
Yeah.
Gotta put up with the rain, folks. All righty. Folks, if you haven't already, make sure you go fill out our annual survey. It's on the website, thedailyhour.com. Just scroll down a bit, fill out that survey. We really appreciate your feedback and your support. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you on Thursday. All right? I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. You wearing a mask?
Probably my red light mask, yeah.
Red light mask. All right, folks. I got to get my Halloween costume. We'll see you soon. Talk soon. Later. Have a great one.